Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast. This week we have Newfound Glory's Nothing Gold Can Stay. Welcome to this week's episode of the Punk Popcast. I am Brad, and I'm always joined on my left, actually, by our guy Jason, if you're watching on YouTube.
What's up? The East-West
All right,
connection.
Jason, East-West connection, that's right. I'm in Phoenix. Jason's in, in Pennsylvania somewhere, Jason? I always get mixed up.
Small town, Pennsylvania.
Small town, Pennsylvania. That's right. So we got East Coast, West Coast punk pop covered for sure for everyone. But anyways, let's get into this. We're going to talk about Newfound Glory's Nothing Gold Can Stay, which is really their debut, like, big records. And it's only like semi-big record label debut, right? I mean, this one came out, and what was it? It was first
99.
full length. There you go. Because I was actually reading, and they had an EP that they put out before this one that was recorded in a friend's apartment, which I'm like, that is legit. I would love to get my hands on that because that sounds like it would just sound terrible. Absolutely terrible.
You know those vocals were done in the bathroom.
Had to have been done in the bathroom. But so this was released in 1999. This one, Jason, Drive-Thru Records. Nothing Gold Can Stay, released on Drive-Thru Records. So for those of you who might have listened to last week's episode, there was a little bit of a debate. We weren't entirely sure, but this one turns out was Drive-Thru Records, just like we had originally anticipated. So this was their first album, like they said, their first major album, and it was released under a Newfound Glory, the name with a singular Newfound Glory in front of the name, which I talked about brought a little bit of confusion to me, somebody who wasn't super familiar with the band or really even how Kazaa really worked. So that did lead to some trouble on my behalf. But anyways, there is one song on this album that we have to talk about, and we're just going to get straight into it, Jason. Let's talk about Hit or Miss.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is the song that put them on the map. It's the one that
it really is.
I think this is the song that got them their deal with Geffen.
It had to have been.
This song is catchy, it's poppy, it's delightful.
And it's also on their self-titled album that was released on Geffen. Yeah. They basically were like, here, let's record it with some really good equipment so it sounds better, and we'll clean it up a little bit. Because this is one of the things that I noticed listening to this album, is that it's kind of all over the place. Right? Yes. It's clearly a sign that they're a band who is very talented but was trying to find their sound. And the way I see it was Geffen was like, this song, this is your sound. This is what's going to make you successful. So let's duplicate this with this essential sound with every song that you write from here on out. And this is what is going to bring you into the mainstream and make you very popular. Because at the time, like I said, I was reading up on some of the history, and the reason they got this deal with Drive-Thru is because they're touring up and down the East Coast. They're from Florida. We mentioned that before. And they're selling out every single venue they were playing in. So they were popular. People obviously liked them. And I get it. It's a catchy album. These songs, a lot of them are very catchy. And I'm sure they're very, very good live, a lot of them. And so Drive-Thru obviously saw the talent was there and said they just kind of need to be honed in a little bit. And I think Geffen saw what had happened and was willing to do that with them. To
mold them.
Yes, to mold them. That's a perfect way to put it. But Hit or Miss for me, that was my first exposure to absolute first exposure to Newfound Glory on a mix CD that was put together, burned and pirated off the internet. But this is something I always was surprised of, actually, because the version that I first heard was the version off this album. But I think it was a demo version because it had the line from The Outsiders.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about because I had the same version on a mix CD that was made for me by someone.
Yes, and I was actually very disappointed that was not on the actual album because the first time I listened to it, I think it was the first time I listened to the actual album itself on Apple Music probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was like, yes, nostalgia. No, it's not there.
I wonder if it was on the EP they had before Nothing Gold Can Stay.
That
I
might have
don't
been where
know
that
enough
that's
to. I
probably
mean, I'm
where.
just hypothesizing. But we both know in the pop punk world, and even in the metalcore world at that time, it was the thing to do was to have movie clips somewhere in your song, either at the beginning or the end.
Yeah, or just anywhere on your album, like Elva by Unwritten Law has them peppered throughout. They're just their own individual 30-second tracks, you know?
Yeah.
But like Rufio did it on their demo of Above Me. I can't. There's tons more. Like you said, it was the thing to do at the time, and there's a bunch more that I remember downloading off the internet and being like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it," and it's a fun thing to do. But
One
it
of
was
my
a good explanation. Go ahead.
one of my favorites, and it's a sidebar here, and it is a metalcore album. And it's one of my all-time favorite bands. 18 Visions on their Until the Ink Runs Out album, their first one on Trustkill. Right before it kicks into She's a Movie Produced Masterpiece, it's from Back to the Future, where Doc goes, heavy, there's that word again. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? And Marty goes, what? And then it just banana, like right into this really heavy, like just brutal, like metalcore that 18 Visions did at the time. And I love the Back to the Future movies, but I can't watch that scene and not like get ready to rock out.
That's so funny. I love that. That's awesome. That's absolutely amazing. But no, hit or miss really is. I mean, hit or miss alone, I would rate that 100 on our punk pop scale.
Right.
Like you can't
And I
do
agree
punk
with that.
pop without
It's
hit or miss.
no, and it's well, really, this I'll get to it later when we talk about the album as a whole. But I mean, God, that first line, "The needle on my record player has been wearing thin," that just it sets the tone for the song.
The record has been playing since the day you've been with them. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And the thing that's funny about that song too is I think that original version, like we talked about, was shorter. I think it was missing a bridge. There were certain parts of it. I remember when I did get the self-titled album, I was like, "Oh, they extended it. It's like an extended version of the song because it was longer. It had more of a bridge. It had a little more substance to it. It's obviously better, like a better mix job on it, and like better mastering. But yeah, it was very raw, just like the rest of this album. Like we'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later. But I want to get into, if that's okay with you, Jason,
Go ahead.
one of my first songs. Okay, so my first one I'm going to put on here is Broken Sound. So I talked in last week's episode about how I pretty much learned how to play almost. I think I did learn how to play every song on Sticks and Stones, but this song, Broken Sound, it's an acoustic. It's primarily acoustic. This was one of the first 5 songs I learned how to play on my guitar, and it was difficult because the picking patterns were odd and kind of triplety stuff like that, and I struggled with it, but. But the reason I wanted to learn how to play it was because it sounds so good. The guitar on it is really good, and it segues perfectly from the acoustic segment into the regular, electric guitar part of the song. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like it transitioned really well. So that was a song that I wanted to learn how to play. It means a lot to me because of the amount of time that I put in trying to learn how to play that song. Somebody who I never took a single guitar lesson in my life. I had a friend who taught me how to play a Jimmy Eat World song, "Hear You Me," so I could play it for a girl. And then after that, I was like, "Yeah, I want to learn how to play the guitar." So this was one of the next few songs I learned how to play, and so it's always had a special place in my heart because of that. But also, it's kind of funny because, like I talked about with Kazaa, I think it showed up under a different band than Newfound Glory. I didn't know it was Newfound Glory for a while at first, I think.
There's a lot of bands whose songs came up as Newfound Glory, so
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, there were probably bands who were dropping their demos online and being like, Newfound Glory is really popular right now. Let's put them as our their title. We'll put our band name in the song title. But
I mean,
yeah.
As we get back this album, it's raw. It's not quite musically it's kind of all over the place, but I mean, this song in particular, lyrically, I mean, you see the shades of where they were going and what they were to become in this song.
Uh-huh.
I mean, for me, it's to tell you I've held this back for too long and my heart aches. That is a newfound glory line, if there is one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think that's always been a big one for me is broken sound off this album. Go ahead with yours, Jason. We kind of took your first one with hit or miss.
That's okay, because hit or miss needs to be talked about. So for me, my personal favorite song on this album is "It Never Snows in Florida." Um, Again, big thing with Newfound Glory, and I think the time frame I got into them, it definitely captures that teenage like longing kind of feeling for your relationship, that person you're crushing on, and the lyrics hit that to a T. And I think, and I love the dichotomy between us, where I'm the lyric guy, you're the music guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about those things specifically because those are things that appeal to us.
Yeah.
I love the line, conversation clets like glass. I'm the calm before the storm. Those are, to me, those were great words then. I like them still now.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, you're going to laugh. The visual of the song just lends itself to like a teen movie to me. Like, like Breakfast Club running in the hallway to get back to the library before
It
I forget
does.
his name now. The principal comes and
I don't
catches them.
remember. But no, there are certain songs that have that kind of vibe. I get it. Because I've been there and done that with writing songs like, you know what this sounds like? Yeah, no, I get it. It really does. And so this is something that I thought was pretty cool, Jason. So I was texting you actually earlier about this because this was going to be one of my top three. I love this song. It's so cool. It's so good. But I was gonna one of the things that I found with this song while I was listening to it was that the bass line is the same as the intro to the story so far.
See, now I got to go back and listen to them back to back.
Yeah, because I was sitting there listening to it. I was kind of like, no way. So I started it over, and it's the same pattern, everything. It is the exact same
Oh,
as the
wow.
story so far. And that's actually something that I felt like they did a lot with this album, specifically into Sticks and Stones, that there are certain themes and patterns that they took from Nothing Gold Can Stay and put into Sticks and Stones. There were certain strumming patterns, even like palm muting and into strumming and melodic patterns that they took directly from this album and put into Sticks and Stones that they obviously liked. They just needed to be cleaned up a little bit and put together a little bit better. And it sounds better on Sticks and Stones than it does here, but it's exactly the same. A lot of it.
They took
It's
the
really
best of
interesting.
this album and put it into into their best album, or one of their
Yeah,
best albums.
yeah, they did. Yeah, they did, and it's excellent. I thought that was really cool. That I was because I had listened to Sticks and Stones first, and then I went back and was listening to this and was like, oh my gosh, I just heard that. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little thing. Let's take a quick break. And when we get back, I have two left. Jason has one left.
9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. Weekly episodes for the entire baseball family where we talk all baseball all the time. Available on all your favorite podcast apps and on YouTube. Come join our baseball family where we do baseball together.
I'm Jason.
And I'm David, and we're the hosts of the Non-North Sports Podcast. We're the home of sports talk for everyone. Join us bi-weekly as we talk about the happenings in sports.
You can find the Non-North Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever else you find your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Punk Popcast. Jason still has a couple tracks to talk to us about. Let's go ahead. Actually, look, sounds like I think Jason, you have one to go. Yeah, you have one. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do your one. Then I guess I'll do mine back to back. Let's go ahead and do it that way. That'll be fine.
So my other one is 2s and 3s. Another one, I think the opening lines are great. I sat and stared at the sky. I knew I'd find myself there again. Man, if that doesn't talk about, being young, struggling with, identity, trying to figure out who you are, where you are. And that's the beauty, I think, of a lot of their early albums is it captures certain feelings of like age 16 to like 20.
Yeah, it does.
And
It
they're
really does.
awkward ass years.
For everybody, and that's one of the things that my wife and I talk about. Is we have a 7-year-old who's in kind of that 7-year-old phase, and we're like, man, but he's gonna get to his tweens and teens, and he's just gonna be awkward and just awful.
Well,
and so we're
as a father of a 9-year-old who's, I guess 9 is a preteen age now, yeah, it's fun.
I can only imagine. So something I think that's interesting about this song is because I like this one a lot too. And I feel like this album, there's only so much you can take from it because, like we said several times, it is very raw. There's only 2 verses in this song, and it's like 3.5 minutes, almost 4-minute song, but there's only 2 verses to it. That they did a good job of capturing simplicity, but being able to stretch it out without you really noticing. Like there's not even a bridge. The building of the way they put together the song was really interesting to me because I had no idea until I pulled up the lyrics. I did not notice it. And I think that there are a lot of punk pop songs that you can find that with that are put together just, I don't know, just bare bones. But they've
keep it simple, stupid is the rule.
Yes, they keep it simple and they do a good job of like distracting you with the music because the music is so catchy.
And I think that speaks, to where they were as a band at this time. I mean, if you were to play this song and then a song off of, man, I hate going back to it, but Radio Surgery, I mean, they're 2 different bands.
Yeah.
And it's night and day from 1999 to 2011.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is. And it's really cool. And I think this song really captures a lot of the, like you said, like the best of from this album. It's good. Really good. So my next song that I would like to talk about is Telltale Heart.
Great name.
It is. It's a very good name. It's a strong name for a song. I would be pulled in and want to listen to this if I didn't know who it was by. I'll be honest with you, just because of the name of the song. But one of the things I noticed with this song is I actually got a lot of Newfound Glory feel, or not. Obviously, it feels like Newfound Glory with this song. No, instead, it feels a lot more like Fall Out Boy. That there are certain things in this song that sound a lot like "Take This to Your Grave" by Fall Out Boy, and mostly it's like I don't know if it's shout singing or what, but like the crowd chorus kind of thing,
Yes.
And maybe Fall Out Boy pulled it from this song specifically for that album. I don't know, but
and I think
you look like you're going to say something.
The chorus kind of that's that crowd sing along chorus. I mean, to me, I think that shows that hardcore influence because they were in hardcore bands before they were in Newfound Glory. Chad was a singer in a hardcore band before they were in Newfound Glory. So I mean, I and that influence I think is all over this album, especially with how raw musically it sounded.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. And so that was one of the songs that really stuck out with me because I do like that album so much. I was like, oh, this is very good. I like it, and I like that was a thing that bands did. They mostly did it early on. Like you said, Take Us to Your Grave was first major release. This was really their first major release with Drive Thru. And there's a few other places you'll catch it, but once bands go on to their I think Yellowcard even did it on One for the Kids, now that I think about it. But once Yellowcard got on Capitol, Fall Out Boy got on Island, and Newfound Glory got onto Geffen, you didn't hear it anymore. It was something that I don't know if record executives and producers were like, no, that doesn't appeal to the mainstream. We're trying to appeal to more people with this, that we're not trying to bring the club into the car. We're trying to give a unique experience, you know? So, but no, that was something I really liked specifically about the song, and the song in general just is really good. Just, I don't know, the drive is what catches me with it, is what pulled me in to begin with, is the intro was really good. And it was, it really just one of those earworms, you know, just got in there.
It pulls you in.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yep. All right, last one for me. And for this episode, we're going to go with Passing Time. And the big thing that really got me with this one was the Alistair vibes. I felt like I was listening to Alistair off of Last Stop Suburbia. That's what that felt like a lot for me. And that's one of I put that album in my top 10 all time of any, because it's so good. But Passing Time was like, and that's really all it was. Like, I didn't even listen to the words when I was listening to this song, because I was just like, just feeling it, you know, just feeling the Alistair vibes and really, really going along with that. But yeah, that was the other one for me on this one.
It's another one. Lyrically, you see where they're headed on this song, and that's this album in general. This album sets the table for everything to come next.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the lyrics are just as raw as the music, but I mean, the emotion, the sentiment's there. And in this song's another good example of that.
Yeah, it really is. And I think overall, like we've said it several times, like I said before, is this whole album is incredibly raw. It's a little bit all over the place. You can see what they're trying to do, that they're trying to find their sound, that it was kind of found for them, I feel like, in a record executive saying, like, this is what you need to do. Hit or Miss is your best song. Let's stick with that. Yeah. Because that's really where things went after this. It has, at the same time, a very strong garage band feel to it. It feels a little bit like it was recorded and mixed in a garage. Drive Through at the time may have very well been doing that. I don't know, because it was 1999 when it was released. Right.
This wasn't Drive Through with Dashboard Confessional doing an MTV Unplugged.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even, golly, like, I don't know. There's like a bajillion bands, but yeah, it was a completely different world for Drive Through at the time. And they could, like I said, it could have very well been in their garage, using analog equipment, recording this album. But
you know, there is a fuzziness to the songs. Yeah. Now that you said analog, I'm like, yep, that's the fuzziness I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But you can still see what a major record label saw in them at this point, that this is a band that has a lot of potential. They know what they want to do. Mostly, they just need a little bit more guidance. Is kind of the way I see it. So, but let us know what you think about these albums. What do you think about Nothing Old Can Stay? What did you think about Sticks and Stones? You can reach out to us on Twitter, right, Jason? Do we have our Twitter handle all set up yet?
No.
Well, this time we don't. By the time this
episode drops, there will be a Twitter, but I have not done it just yet.
And we'll have it in the links for you, so you can go and you can listen to it. Or
what
reach
was
out
your
to
score?
Us. Oh, my score. That's right. So my score for this one, I gave it a 70 because it is very raw and like I said, all over the place. It's a tough listen. It's a tough listen because it's so all over the place. So
I gave it a 75, and I think I'm tacking on 5 points because it's Newfound Glory.
There you go. Yeah. So overall, we give it a 72.5, which, you know, still a good listen if you want to go check it out, see where Newfound Glory came from. If you've never listened to this album, it's on Apple Music. That's where I listen to it. It's on Spotify.
It is on Spotify.
Okay. Then we'll have the link to the album in the description to Spotify as well, because, well, that's the only place you can find us. So we know you're already here anyway. But anyway, it will do it for Newfound Glory for this season. I had a lot of fun. It's cool going back and dipping into these old bands, Jason, like especially Newfound Glory, who was like so essential to the core of me learning about punk pop, that they're like, I listen to Sticks and Stones semi-regularly. The self-titled album is kind of in the rotation, but I haven't listened to Nothing Gold Can Stay in a very long time.
Leading up to this episode, it was the first time in maybe 15, 16 years I listened to the full album. because I cherry picked.
Yeah, and like I said,
listen to.
right, yeah, and like I said, mine was probably 6 or 7 years ago, but I hadn't listened to the entire album until this week, and it was fun. It was fun to listen to. I'm looking forward to getting more of that. If you have any suggestions for us, hit us up on Twitter. The link to Twitter is in the description. We don't know what it is right now, but we'll get it for you. It'll be there.
It was
Also
a busy week the week we recorded this.
It's always a busy week. But the other thing, too, that I think is cool that Spotify and Anchor do is you can actually leave us a voicemail. If you don't want to send us a message, just click the link and you can leave us a voicemail and drop that in there. And we can actually put that on the podcast, too. So you can get your voice on the podcast if you like with your questions. But with that, thanks for joining us. We'll be with you next week.